everyone. Welcome to the episode, second season of All Things Indian Friendly Voices. Last year has been really tough for everybody, not only for us, millions of people all over the world, millions lost their jobs. There's many people lost houses and people died. So whatever happens, we are all here. So however, I would like to thank all the viewers. We thought that hundreds of people are watching. I thought it's local. So when I started receiving queries on Twitter, people from Jodhpur, somebody from Roorkee, somebody from Kharagpur, somebody from Cochin, they were all asking. That means people from all over India are watching. And some people from USA, they are regularly watching this. I know that. But then apart from that, I was very surprised. And that's a kind of incentive for us to go ahead. So this is the beginning of season 2. And so far, before that, thank you very much to all the viewers who made this show possible. And please continue watching our show. Whatever feedback, like in the season 1, please do give. It may be a criticism, it doesn't matter. I mean, we just would like to improve the show, that's all. And today we are going to discuss something related to sports. Sports in India is almost picked up, and especially the cricket. Cricket has become a religion, almost like what they say about soccer in Europe. It's a kind of a religion. So there are people, sports persons, are worshipped actually in India more than cricketers, especially. However, today we are going to focus on one specific segment of the sports in India. Women's sport has picked up a lot. Today we are getting a lot of, India is getting a lot of medals through women's sportsmen. However, today we are going to discuss women's cricket in India. I mean, many of us heard name like Shanta Rangaswamy, or some people who are in news, like Mithali Raj. She's in commentary because of we know her name, or Jhulan Goswami, she broke some record. That's it. So beyond that, our average, including me and Suresh, we don't know anything about women's cricket. So we have two wonderful friends to discuss that.
Yeah, thank you, Rajmohan. So let me introduce you to two of our friends who have consented to join us today and discuss women's cricket. The first is Sudatta Mukherjee. Sudatta has been a sports journalist, and she's been a journalist for more than 10 years now. She's worked with Hindu's very famous Sports Star magazine, and she's also a part of cricketcountry.com. Now, Sudatta also happens to be what you call a passionate cricket fan, especially women's cricket. And if you follow her Twitter handle, you'll see how passionate it is. And they have also done some such shows with different people. I think Paurnami and others were involved in one show. I had watched that, and I could see their passion for women's cricket. Not only is Sudatta a sports person, a sport journalist, she's also an author. She's written a book called Hallowed Ties. That's her debut novel. And she's also a co-founder of an aerospace and defense organization. So she is, in short, a multifaceted personality. And we are very happy to have her here. And welcome, Sudatta, to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. The next person in our panel is Paulami Das. As I said that earlier, I had seen them discuss about cricket in one of the shows, and I think that was hosted by Paulami. She runs this, she's a co-founder of a site called 171 Not Out. And she's a women's cricket enthusiast, and she follows all kinds of women cricket, and they discuss that a lot. And she has a vision of taking women's cricket and related discussion and information to the masses. And I think they've been doing a great job from whatever little I was able to see on that day. And there were 4 of them discussing that, and it was, as I said, a very passionate discussion. So we are also very happy to invite Paulami here, and we thank her for being here. Welcome, Paulami.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and I will now let Rajmohan start the proceeding.
Thanks, Suresh. I mean, the viewers will know I keep eating. So because my sugar goes down, so I eat cake, chocolates. Today is Mumfali Chikki. So, okay. Sudata, I mean, we'll begin with you. I said a lot of women are getting medals for, for us, and the women's sports in general has increased a lot in the visibility, their presence, everything has increased. But can it be said about the women's cricket in India? Has it improved so much? And are we in the same footing? Can we talk about that, like athletics?
I would probably say that women's cricket has come a long way since the 90s, early 90s. You mentioned Shanta Rangaswamy and the likes of Neetu Devid and Kulkarni. So from there, women's cricket in India has come a long way. But if we have to compare it with the men's cricket, it has just not reached that stage. Okay, there are various reasons for it. If we speak about other women's sport like let's say badminton and tennis and even athletics, badminton is a very individual game. It's an individual sport, so you don't need even for tennis it's an individual sport, or whether you are playing doubles or not. So you don't need a team setting for it. I mean, so one person can go out there and train, and most of the badminton women's sports stars that we see today, they have had their own setup from the beginning, and they go to an academy and everything. It's just not the same for cricket, because cricket, you need a full environment and atmosphere for it. You need 12 to 15 people in a team, in a squad, from where 11 people play. So compared to badminton, it wouldn't be right to compare it to badminton or even athletics or tennis. If you have to compare with other team games like soccer or football, as we say it, I think cricket has come very far, because if you see today's women's football, it's nowhere. The visibility is not there at all. Women actually tomorrow early morning, Indian women's football team is going to play against Brazil women, which is a big occasion, because they will be playing against one of some of the best players in the world. Like I mean, it's not about women's football, but these are if we compare to other women's team games, yes, cricket has come ahead very far. The visibility is there compared to the 90s. However, if we compare to other cricket playing nations like England and Australia mainly, which are the top teams in the world, India has still lagged behind. And we cannot say that Indian women has not gotten the same kind of playing opportunities as England and Australia has. So, and then, yes, we have come far ahead. The visibility is there, but there's still a lot to be desired in that perspective.
Okay. Paulami, what's your take?
Yeah, I think I agree with Sudatta, whatever she said, that we have come a long way from the 90s where it was, and nowadays it's been more popular. Many more people are following, and I can say that it's increasing day by day. If we even see the numbers of the leagues that is happening around the world or even in India, the numbers are increasing day by day. Every day there is a new record. And last year's T20 World Cup final had a audience of 84,000 so in attendance. So that was, I think, the biggest event. So people are getting interested slowly, and I feel personally it has a lot to do with the visibility of the sport. Like even 4 or 5 years back, all the matches and everything was not televised, right? There were only World Cups will be televised, and then this league matches and the bilateral series, all these were not televised properly. So people had to really go for it and look for it. The ardent fans will do that. They will go for it and look for it, but it will not be available on your TV all the time. So it was even hard for people to follow it. But this thing has improved in the past 3-4 years, and as this thing got improved, more and more people started getting interested in it. And yeah, it's improving day by day, the visibility
Okay.
and popularity. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just had a supplementary question on this.
Mhm.
See, one of the reasons why suddenly a sport gets sort of leaps into imagination is also when they start winning, right? For example, before the Olympics, we really didn't know as much about women's hockey team. Like she was
Yeah.
talking about soccer team, the hockey team also probably we never knew what they were playing and all. But that third place fight, I mean, for the medal, right, really brought the focus onto them, and then we came to know about some outstanding players there and all that, right? Do you think any such movement has happened in Indian women's cricket at that point where things have changed a bit and people have started recognizing more names?
Yeah, I think we can talk about the name 171 Not Out. That's the name of the organization that I my organization. So that 171 Not Out was that kind of a moment that I can say recently, because that innings or that World Cup had changed a lot. Like the thing that I was saying, the matches are being televised nowadays regularly.
Correct.
So these things have like changed a lot after that World Cup. When we were the finalists. So we should have won the final as well, but that was a bad luck. But yeah, so India women have been in World Cup finals for the last two World Cups, like 50 over World Cup and the 20 over World Cup. So yes, I think that was one of the moment, I will say 171 Not Out, which had which brought a lot of focus to India women's sports.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just
I'll just like to add that when we talk about hockey, whether it's women's hockey, we should also consider the fact that despite hockey having a much richer and like long history, I mean, cricket
correct.
does have, but if you talk
In
about
India,
the 50s and 60s, yes, in India, in 50s, 60s, and even in 70s, hockey was a very powerful game. It's a national sport. But even the men's hockey compared to the men's cricket have not reached that kind of visibility that the cricket has.
absolutely.
I do not think it has to do with the women's game. It probably is the reason how the sport has been marketed. And with the advent of social media coming in, there has been a huge huge visibility for that. For example, Poulomi was talking about televised matches in 2014.
Right.
The previous to this, when the last time India women went to play Test cricket in England, it wasn't televised, and I remember covering it. It was very difficult, and this time you could see each and every matches on television. Actually, the funny part is that I remember in 90s, in like 1997 or 98, watching women's one-day matches, because I remember Neetu David slipping on the crease while running. So I don't know. I'm not sure how much it was televised, whether it was a World Cup match, because I was very young. But from there to now, women's hockey in 2004 Commonwealth Games, when they won the gold, if I'm not mistaken about the year, I guess, when they won the gold, they pulled some traction, but from there they couldn't sustain. So the sustainability wasn't there for hockey in that sense. But for cricket, a lot of people believe that the 2005 team of India was a very powerful team, but unfortunately, none of us have seen. There weren't many televised opportunities, but the cricket has been able to sustain over the years.
Correct.
So that is why, I mean, Rajmohan said it, like cricket is a religion, and whether it's men's and women's, yes, there is a gap, but in that respect, if we compare with hockey, it's nothing to do with the women's part. It's more to do with how the two sport has been treated.
Sports as well. Okay. Now, just also I wanted to ask this question. See, many sport, right? Also, the popularity also depends a lot on what I would call as the competition, right? How competitive things are. How much you're looking forward to. Like, so now India plays Australia at a different level from India playing Sri Lanka. I mean, no offense to Sri Lanka, but I'm saying at the current state, right? And in earlier days, when a West Indies versus Australia happens, people are willing to watch. And we see that in badminton now, because more of us now follow women's badminton than men's badminton, because the competition is so high in women's. I mean, the top 5-6 players are as good as each other, right? In the men's, there are one or two dominate, and the sort of thing. So in cricket, right, how is the competition? Who are the other top class teams, and how do they compete with respect to India? Paulam, you want to take it?
So I think the top teams right now is Australia and England. So Australia have been dominating this sport for more than 20 years now. So they are like 11 times world champions. 11 times means 6 times ODI World Cup and 5 times T20 World Cup. So that says a lot. They are the like invincible teams, one of the invincible teams of their of cricket, I'll say, like in the history of cricket, men's, women's combined, the current Australia team that we have. And also England is another, like they are currently the defending champions of the World Cup, and they also have been very good throughout the years. They are the main competitors of Australia, I'll say. India is also very close to them. Like they have the matches have been really competitive. So last time we had almost won a series in Australia against Australia.
Yeah.
So and another powerful team that is coming up right now is South Africa. So that team is very strong right now, and they have actually beaten India in India 4-1 in the bilateral series. So that is another team that is very good. So I will say these four are the strongest team as of now in the world. New Zealand is also pretty close. Like they are also a good team. Somehow they are going through a bad patch nowadays, but they have been very good in past, and they will definitely come back. So yeah, I will say now Pakistan, West Indies, Sri Lanka, all those teams are also there. But the level wise, I will say Australia, England at the top, and then India, South Africa, and New Zealand after that. So these five are the most competitive teams as of now. That's I feel.
Yeah. So that I want to add something.
No, I think Paulomi is right only. Australia has forever been a crazy invincible team, you can say. They almost I would like to mention at this point that they had an unbeaten run of 24 games, if I'm not mistaken, Paulomi.
Yeah, 24 before our series, then 26. Ultimately it stands at 26.
So it actually started with India, where India was the last team to they started their winning streak against India, and India ended it. So it just shows that, and it's just across like 26 games is not a small amount if we consider the women's game, because women hardly get to play for a year almost. India didn't play. So for Australia is a crazy team. England are very good right now. They had a very poor patch couple of years, like 2016. South Africa, like Paulomi said, has come. It's one of those teams which you never know can go ahead and like win a World Cup maybe the next year. You never know, because they always come to the semi-finals, and even the last time they missed out on the semi-final because it was washed out.
Oh.
So these are the things, and they have the number one batter, I guess, right now. So they have some very good all-rounders coming up. So if I have to put my money on India and South Africa, I'll probably put on South Africa right now, because India still needs, because we have reached a stage. India has reached a stage where you need those. It's in a transition, because you will have those older senior players moving out right now, and you have really younger players. So there is no one in the middle who have a experience altogether to provide that base. But South Africa has gone through that, and New Zealand, I don't know what has happened to New Zealand in the past few years, but they used to be a very good team again. West Indies, Sri Lanka, Pakistan really need their boards to do something about their teams. It's not that they don't have superstars in their squad. It's just somehow it's like, it's like having a Messi in your team, but the team doesn't perform or win World Cups. It's almost like that. So West Indies, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, they have those players, but as a team, they haven't been able to pull together.
Okay. Yeah, Rajmohan.
So yeah, so basically, Sudatta, you said, I mean, we have been talking, Paul May said now matches are being televised. So, but you also said there's a gap. Okay, there's a gap between why this gap is there, why women's sport being cricket is not being televised or advertised or marketed more. I mean, why is it being perceived as some kind of inferior to men's cricket? In what could mean? I don't know. Some kind of gender discrimination. I don't know. I don't know what is that. Like,
I think
for example, you are saying that. I remember New Zealand. I feel that New Zealand is not unearthing, or they don't have a chain of young players coming up. That's why we are seeing a dip last 1.5, 18 months or so. We are seeing a lot of dip, huge dip in their performance. They need, okay, that brings me to the additional question. What is the shelf life for a women cricketer? I mean, like a male cricketer is roughly, we are exceptionally good 8 to 10 years, right? The first question is, what is the reason for this gap?
the reason for gap in India or all?
In India,
like,
India, why it's not being marketed at all?
So I guess the main point is it is not, we have not invested much. So if you see, at the end of the day, cricket is a private, or like BCCI is a private organization. It's, cricket itself is a private game. It's not it's not like hockey. Yeah, it's not government or recognized by. So that's why even when India represents, the Indian cricket team represents India, they play as the BCCI's team. They don't play under they are not supposed to, ideally. So if you treat it as a business, so when you put that kind of investment in the game, you get that kind of return. Compared to that, there hasn't been much investment in the women's game. We keep on saying that, oh, let them win a World Cup. You will never win a World Cup if you haven't done that kind of investment. Look at the amount of investment that goes into the IPL teams. It's like in billions. And if you have noticed the two teams that have come, is just crazy. How crazy the numbers are. It shows the amount of investment that has gone into the Indian men's cricket. You have a sponsor for a 6, you have a sponsor for 4 wickets, whereas you don't even have one sponsor for a women's tournament. You don't have a women's IPL, and that's another question or a discussion point. For the domestic structure itself, you do not. It's only now that Jio has come ahead and become the sponsor for the women's one-day domestic challenges. But that's a small, it's like peanuts in truly, if you see it. So, and then the structuring of the whole women's game, the domestic structuring has been pretty poor. If you look at if I compare with another women's team like England's domestic structure is quite strong. They have their league, league games. They have the senior women's game. Then they have the 100 right now. They go to our WBBL. A lot of players go to WBBL and play. Now in India, we only have the top few players going and playing in WBBL. And you only had 3 or 4 players going to the 100 in UK and playing it. So overall, you need to put money in the game to have that kind of returns. It will never be. You cannot win a World Cup just because you have some set of good players in your squad. You need to create that environment for that good set of players to become world class. Now probably not a lot of investments, but a bit of investments have come in. BCCI is allowing the women players to go ahead and play in foreign domestic leagues, but that's not enough. I don't understand why is it so difficult for BCCI to have women's IPL. Because if you have women's IPL, and which the women's cricketer have been talking about also, a part of this problem can be taken care of. Okay, if you don't want to have women's IPL, at least let all the women's cricketers go outside India and play in the various leagues. I'm sure not everybody will be selected, because other leagues also have their quotas of international players. But you have to create an environment for it, and we as a society, we haven't done that, and that's why I keep saying that cricket is just a representation of the society that we live in. Sports as a whole is. I forgot the second part of the question.
Now, what is the basic average life of women cricketer in India? I'm talking specifically about India.
So we have, it's almost like the men. So we have one set of cricketers who play till the age of 35, 39. You have Jhulan Goswami, who turned 40, I guess, today. It's her birthday
39. Yeah, 40, yes.
Yeah. And you have Mithali Raju, who is 35, who has played for 11 years, and so I think more than
21.
11 years. 21 years. Yeah. 21 years. So that's because that's the kind of players you have. Then you have now, I think now with the kind of players like Shefali Verma coming in, or Smriti Mandhana earlier, you will see a lot of these youngsters coming in who will keep on playing till a longer period of time. But it again depends on the injury management, the player management by the teams, by the boards and everything. For example, Sneh Rana was there from the Railways team. She didn't play for a long period of time in between because of injury, but at the age of 27, she returned to play in the squad, and she did remarkably well in the England tour. And you also have another player like Pooja Vastrakar. She's young, but she also missed out on a couple of years due to injuries. So on an average, I would say that, Poulomi probably would know better. On an average, in my view, 10 years is good enough. But you do now, with the kind of infrastructure available because of National Cricket Academy, because a lot of these women cricketers also go there for rehabilitation, it can go up to your 13, 14, 15 years. But it also depends on an individual itself.
Okay. So my follow-up question, maybe Poulomi could take this, is now Sudatta is talking about structures, right? Like there's a league in England which everybody plays. So what exactly, I want to ask two things. What exactly is a structure in India for women's cricket? Like in men's cricket, you have Ranji Trophy, and nowadays the names are changed, right? Dilip Trophy. I think they call it something else. I don't follow that too much, but yeah. So we have a one-day tournament. Now we had this 2020 tournament which Tamil Nadu won recently. So like this, what is there for women within India as to how do you pick up your players, right? How do they progress this? And secondly, like in men's cricket, there is a cricket academy and others, for bowlers, there are coaches, for batters, there are coaches and all that. So like that, how is it in women's cricket in India?
Yeah. So if we talk about the domestic tournaments, we have one tournament that happens every year. That is Senior One Day Trophy. That is a 50-over competition among all the states. So 37 states take part in it. That recently concluded with Railways as champion. So it is the main competition that we have, 50 overs, and the selections depend on this the most. And other than that, we have a Challenger Trophy that is like India Blue, India Green, India Red kind of competition we have in men's. It is India, so similar kind of competition. This year it is going to be a 4-team tournament. And so the best of these domestic players, like whoever has played in the Senior One Day Trophy, they make 4 teams out of these players, and then they take part in a competition. So that is another one. Then there is a T20 championship as well. That is also between all the states. And other than this, the similar kind of competition, other than the Challenger one, we have similar kind of things for under 19, under 23. But those are not very regular. Like these two generally happens, the Challenger and the Senior One Day Trophy, 50-over competition. But under 23, for example, hasn't happened for last 2-3 years, if I'm not wrong. Under 19 is supposed to happen this year, but it got cancelled last year. And so these things are not really regular, and we are not sure that every year it will happen or not. So yeah, that's all about it. We do not have any.
I
Only-
just want.
Yes, I wanted to ask, are there no first class matches, like 4-day matches?
No,
That's
no,
what
no.
I was about to ask that. So how do they
No,
pick
no,
up
no.
how do they pick up the test team then? Because they don't play a three-day match. This is surprising, actually.
Yeah, they just announced one token test match and got done with it, but we do not have any domestic tournament, any red ball tournament. So we used to have, I think till 2016 or 2017 we had, but after that it got cancelled forever. Like it didn't happen after that.
Oh, so there's no, so like the Ranji League in men's, there's nothing like that.
No,
in
no, no. We don't have anything like that.
How do you select a team? Like a toss of coin or put kind of a poker game? Whichever name comes, you say Russian roulette. So whose name comes? I don't know. How do you select them?
Mostly the ODI team only plays test for us. It's almost the same team. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Subrata.
So I would like to add to the point about the longer format of the game, the red ball. It's the main reason that BCCI and a lot of so England doesn't have a domestic long format tournament also.
No.
They don't. That is mainly because ICC has taken a decision to promote the shortest format of the game, so that more countries take up the T20. Like you have Thailand today, Brazil. You have a lot of these nations come out and play what T20 right now. So they are trying to promote T20. They are using T20 as a vehicle to promote the game. As a result, so there are only 3 countries right now presently who are playing Test cricket in the world. Which you have. So England and Australia plays 1 test matches because of the women's Ashes. So for women's Ashes, it's a multi-format tournament. So you have 1 test, 2 or 3 ODIs and 2 or 3 T20s. So England and Australia always plays that one-off test matches. India gets to play test matches every 7 years, I would say. But right now, that has been the case. But this time they have played 2 test matches. So these are the only 3 teams that play test matches. As a result, because there are test matches are played so like less or not at all, that's why none of the associations have the long format tournaments, and that's why you have all that BCCI has, that like Poulomy mentioned, the senior one-day challenge, and the challenges, which is basically the NKP Salve version of your women's. And I would like to point out that somebody like Susie Betts, she's very famous women's cricketer from New Zealand, has never played a test match ever. And she has played for so many years right now. So it's not a problem per se related to Indian women's cricket. It's the worldwide problem. And probably ICC has to take a call. And ICC has been told, and Mithali Raj last time when India toured England had mentioned that probably to make the longer format come back into the scene is probably having those multi-format tournaments everywhere where you get to play 1 test match of the whole thing.
Yeah, but I find it probably there should be a total women's, like ICC, there should be a women's thing, I guess. Then only these things may improve. Given that, as you said, it seems to be more business oriented than the sport oriented thing, because I think there's a lot of interest, as far as I know, at least I get this only from Twitter, but there's a lot of interest when the India versus Australia test match happened, right? A lot of people were really talking about it, discussing it, not just the women, men, everybody was talking, and we know that they were watching it also. So I don't think it's a question of, I think some priority somewhere is not yet ready, that because it's very surprising. We didn't know about this, that there's no 3-day tournament or something within having in India, right?
Yeah.
Now, again, we come back to the same question that we're talking about, in the sense that, what do you think are things that say BCCI you would think should do to promote more? Now that people are definitely watching, there's no doubt about that. People are I know that the one-day series in Australia was watched a lot, and one of the matches, I think we lost it in the last ball. We should have won, right?
Yeah.
Some misfield, some more catch dropped. I know a lot of you who actually watched it that day would have felt very bad about it, uh, but I think now that it is coming in, what do you think are the things that BCCI could do to take this to a better level, get more viewership, get more tournaments happening?
Yeah, so yeah, I can actually point out a lot of things that they can do. It's a never ending list actually, but yeah, I'll start with that.
No, you please,
So as
please go ahead. We can tag BCCA with the video. Yeah, let them watch.
I don't mind. So as Sudatta was saying, the marketing is the main thing that is required, first of all. Okay, I do not think that the audience discriminates much. I mean, there are always a group of people who will say like, okay, who watches women's cricket, I don't care, and things like that. There will always be some people like that. But I feel personally, whatever I have observed around me, when I talk to my friends, when we talk to like normal people, I don't think anybody will not watch if women are playing. If it is on the TV, if they know about it, they will watch. They like, I mean, people like cricket. It's not like there is a specific thing that we will only watch men's cricket, right? So people will watch if there is enough knowledge about if there is enough information about it, which is missing in India a lot. So I have actually seen one interview of Kate Cross. She's a England fast bowler, and she had an interview with Ashwin, our Ravichandran Ashwin, right? So there she was mentioning how Australia promotes their women's cricketer. If you go to Australia for a series, you will see posters everywhere. You will see people, their board, promoting them so much. They create superstars out of that. I'm just repeating what she said. She said they create superstars out of them. If they will make it as such that people will want to go to a ground and watch Ellis Perry bowl. They want to go to the ground and watch Meg Lanning bat. So they will, create that environment. So that kind of environment is here for men's cricket for us. But for women's cricket, we do not have anything like that. Even if there is a series coming up, we do not even know who is playing. When the team got selected, we got last time when we had a series here in India in April with March, April with South Africa, when South Africa came, right? We were like dying for some information that where is the team. So we got to know from their Instagram stories, the players in Instagram stories, that they are traveling to UP for playing, and from there we are trying to chalk out the team. Okay, so these players are selected. So I mean, yeah, so we do not even know the 30 people that got selected for the tournament. We do not even know where the team is playing and if audience is allowed or not. Nothing, no kind of information there. So I think people, I mean, BCCI should start with that, to provide, they have a social media handle which they do not use. The BCCI women handle that sleeps for the entire year, and they will just wake up on the match day to tweet the scores. That's all. So if you have such a, like nowadays, social media is the biggest tool that you can have to promote something. Everybody is using that, and you have it. Then why aren't that account has a lot of follower? And why, even if you see the BCCI, the main BCCI account, it has like thousands of followers. I mean, if it's in lakhs, I guess. So if you tweet one information from that account, it reaches so many people. If people know that, okay, there is a match happening tomorrow at 7 p.m., at least 50% of people will switch on the TV and watch that. So that is the first step that BCCI should do, that I will say. Promote the game, at least provide information to the people. It should be easily available. They do not have to go and search for it. So people will not do that if they are not like that much interested in it like me. So provide the information, promote the game. If you do not promote, if you do not market players, if you do not market the product, nobody will come and invest just like that out of the blue. You have to market a product. So that is the thing. That is the second thing. And these two are the biggest thing. And the third, I will say, to give proper attention to the women's team. Don't just keep a team for your namesake. Just because you have to have a women's team to be part of a test playing nation, to be recognized as a test playing nation, don't do that. You give proper thought behind that team. Have a goal that, okay, this team, what tournaments they're playing next, how we are going to perform in the World Cup. Have a think tank behind it. Do proper strategies. Just give proper attention to it. As simple as that. I think these three things will be the main thing that can come up in my mind, and there are a lot of small things, but yes, these three will be the main thing. for
Yeah,
me.
Siddhartha?
Well, I mean, I obviously agree with everything Poulomi says. So the first thing is like to first figure out what is the purpose of having a Indian women's cricket team. I know that ICC has a clause that you need to have a women's team to be a test playing nation. But is it the only reason that you are having a women's team? Then
No.
rather not have that BCCI women's social media account with some 47 474.1K followers or something that they have. But I mean, what is really the purpose? And even if you want to have, I mean, I don't think it's too much of a hassle to say that, okay, in 5 years, we want to see our team over here, or even the short term ones. And I'll just give an example about how the team functions and has functioned in the past few years. We had this coach captain or coach player issue where the coach didn't agree with the player didn't agree with the coach, and then the coach had to go away, and another coach came who did very well. I mean, he took the team to the World T20 final, but then suddenly, few months later, that coach was removed, and then the old coach who had a problem came back. It just shows that there is no particular vision about the team. I don't think all the players are asked about how they don't ask for their feedback. That's one of the reasons. I think BCCI should probably look at like what are they trying to do. If you want to win the World Cup and 1 year back you suddenly decide that I'm going to have a new coach and then give him all the load, and then ask him to bring that team to the World Cup level. I mean, it's too much you're asking. You can't really blame the coach for that. Despite all that, I would like to say the team has done very well in the last 4-5 editions of any World Cup. I think women have reached more finals of ICC World Cup in the past 5 tournaments than men have.
Yeah.
4 out of 5. That's
Okay.
not a small.
Not an easy thing. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is that look, in India for the men's for the men's cricket, you have a school structure. You have the Harris Shield, Giles Shield. You have Kanga cricket in Bombay. You have a lot of these. Then you have under 16. You have under 19. You have under 21, and lots.
Correct.
You have India A, India B. For women, like Poulomi said, there is under 19 and there is under 23, which 23 is most of the time not there. That doesn't happen. And there is a senior women's team. The funny thing is that a lot of people were shocked when Shefali Verma came into the scene because she was 16 years old. Obviously, people discovered her for the IPL exhibition matches that happened, and then from there she got into the team. I mean, I'm sure there are multiple Shefali Vermas over there in India which are not being discovered. So you have that proper structure. You have, and I recently one of the former players, India players who was in charge of the women's part in BCCI came out saying that you can only have an IPL when you have a proper domestic structure. My question is, what stopped you from having it? You can't really say that we don't have abundant players. That will be so that will be so stupid to say it publicly, because you have enough players. I mean, why is it that only one team, Railways, is winning over and over and over again? In the past 10 or 11 editions, there have been only Railways have won all of them except 2 times, which is the last edition Bengal won it, and a couple of years, not couple of 5-6 years back, I think Delhi won it. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So you can see that Railways is investing in their team. That's why they are getting all the benefits. Why isn't the other boards doing anything about it? And obviously, I have already said that you need to put money in the game to get the results, marketing and everything.
Okay. Now, just to again supplementary, I'm just putting my old corporate type of hat. It seems to be a structural issue in the sense that I'm not too sure if they have a separate, like a CEO kind of a person who's dealing only with women's cricket. So
No,
they can give a charge of them saying that, look, next 5 years, this is your role. And then you have a something beyond that. But I think it's the same. The same BCCI is dealing with both these things, right? There's no separate wing which deals with women cricket alone. Is that correct?
No, no. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. There is no
Okay.
separate board for.
I would just like to mention one thing, that we are talking about women not having a different representative. I don't know how much you guys are well aware of the Lodha committee report. The Lodha committee report had, one of their recommendations was to have a dedicated women's representative who looked into promoting the game, the women's part of the game. I mean, I can take out the whole Lodha committee report and
to be honest, you don't need a committee to say that, right? It's so obvious. I understand. Why do you read a retired judge to sit and say something so obvious, right?
I mean, yeah, we did have, I mean, just for
I understand whatever you are saying,
yeah. Just for token's sake, they got Diana Adulji, then you have Santa Rangaswamy come into the like CEO, they call it, and try to do something. But I mean, there's another argument about why we shouldn't have former players also in that. I mean, former players like, I mean, I think I will be digging my own grave by getting into this. But they should have a proper, you know, like you said, in a corporate structure, you have an interview and say, even for the CEO or COO, you have a proper hiring process. You just don't go and hire people or put them in a position. You need to have things before putting them.
Plus clear goals for them as to what they have to achieve, right? Just because a committee wants one, you can't put it there. Yeah, Rajma.
Yeah, this, I mean, whatever, Sudatta and Poulami are saying, basically, I'm not saying this doesn't exist in men's cricket. I'm talking only about India. So everything is difficult if you're a woman, especially when it comes to sports. There was a coach in Chennai. I've seen almost many states in India, not only Tamil Nadu or anything like that. But here in Chennai, there was a guy who was trying to coach. Once he told me that he was only coach probably for soccer, women's soccer, women's hockey, women's cricket. So that fellow told me once that we were traveling in a train, and he said, the problem is the most talented women, whatever the sport is, especially cricket, their parents do not allow. They don't get to, they don't get to play. You are just not, because Sudatta said there could be many Shafali Vermas. And another thing is something like railways, you have added job security is there. That's a big bonus. Like, I don't know whether I'm correct in telling this, telling out the name. Okay, I will not tell the name. There was a guy who was, I don't know, he was like Muralidhar, much more than Muralidharan. And he played the first, TNCA League first division. He was almost about to get into Tamil Nadu team. You won't believe, those days we had 3 different types of wickets: matting wicket, natural turf, and uncovered turfs. We had 3, and all the 3, this man will spin and bounce the ball. He was an off spinner, prodigious. I never seen anybody, even E.S. Prasanna said, I know this boy will go miles, but it never happened. You know what happened? He, after 2 years, 1.5 years of playing cricket, and of course he was getting money from Chemplus or someone. And but however, his father died. So he had 4 sisters. So he had to go back to his native place, do some kind of a job, settle the sisters. Yet he came back after 6 years. So, but the only thing is he told everyone that he doesn't have a job. He doesn't have the security backup which young people are having now. See, that's one thing. So, how difficult it is for women to come out and play cricket, and especially traveling, because you don't need infrastructure. Basically, honestly, you don't need a separate infrastructure for women's cricket per se. You can use the same stadium, you can use the same facilities like NCR or whatever. However, like that coach was telling me, the best women cricketers never get to play even for the state. I mean, how difficult do you think it is? It true that we'll start by, we would like to hear from both of you. So that you start.
Uh, okay, so I don't think this is the right forum to say it, but I mean, for a different purpose, I have been talking to a lot of women sports journalists currently, and we get to ask this question a lot, that why there aren't enough women sports journalists out there, which I mean, despite India being such a welcoming country to like foreigners coming here and covering the game, there aren't enough women sports journalists out here. And I think that's a similar question that can be asked for our women cricketers also. Why aren't there enough women cricketers coming out of from small towns or even urban areas? Probably the answer that usually comes out that it's the social stigma. It's like that the moment a girl child is born, you do not even think that person, the girl can go ahead to become a cricketer. If their parents have some inclination towards sports, they will probably think about sports like your badminton, if they have
Tennis,
good
yeah.
financial condition, tennis. So that I mean, those are the things. Cricket is something. Look, cricket forever is not seen as a structured game for women. I mean, I am lucky enough to witness a different culture together in Chennai and Tamil Nadu, where you have schools who actually allow women, girl cricketers, like they have proper setup here. But I grew up in Calcutta. There were hardly any schools which had cricket as a sport. You had big schools who were playing basketballs, and I don't know whether, I mean, basketball is not even a popular game in India, but you had all the major schools playing basketball. They had multiple sports were there. I mean,
Correct.
but cricket was never a primary sport. So you have, it's much before we go to the BCCI or the state level or anything, it has to start from your own house. Like we say always that charity begins at home, that education has to begin from your own house, like where you have your parents or family members say that, okay, just because, I mean, cricket is not just for boys anymore. I mean, if Mithali Raj can go ahead and do it, why not somebody like say Poulami can do it? I mean, what is stopping it? Okay, now we come to the what is stopping factor. Like, yes, there is no job security. I mean, you have only railways. Earlier there was Air India, if I'm not mistaken. So and for men, you have your India Cements, Fame Plus, Sunmark here in Chennai. You other places where, I mean, Air India also had a team, I think, at one point. So you for men, there are a lot of options. And for guys, there are corporate leagues, there are like a small Kanga leagues and this leagues. I know for example, I'll tell a personal story. Few months back in June, I had reached out to somebody in TNCA asking, and it's so odd that I have to reach out to somebody in TNCA asking that if I want to go and play cricket somewhere, not professionally, where do I go? And the instant answer was, you come here, play with us. I was like, and I'm like, but that's a TNCA, like the Tamil Nadu team is going to play over there. Why should I go there? But there is no like environment for girls and women also. I mean, if you want to play proper cricket, you have to go through that whole process of getting into an academy, which is accredited by the state or the TNC, or here over in Tamil Nadu, maybe in Maharashtra, it will be, in Mumbai, it will be Mumbai Cricket Association, and then hope that you are special enough to get selected. And it just doesn't stop there. Your family needs to be financially able to support you. And we already know the economic condition of most families in India right now. I mean, that's another different topic. Would you take your girl child every day to a cricket stadium when petrol prices are like 100 rupees? I mean, a guy can most of the time you can let a guy get on a bike and go by himself. But I don't think anybody in India is going to allow their 16-year-old girl to go early in the morning, not even if it's Bombay. And there are parts of Bombay which are very scary still right now. So I'm just talking about cities, and think about the rural sector where there is no infrastructure altogether. So these are the problems. It's a social, cultural problem more than I would say structural problem, because the structural problem comes in when you are able to, when we have we have a culture or a social environment where you allow girls to think that, okay, just because I'm a guy, I can only play cricket. So that needs to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
just wanted to just say, I've seen that in schools, whatever Sudatta said, that girls are asked to play badminton or they can play basketball. As she said, no idea why basketball, because India doesn't really, but basketball is there. But rarely do you ever see a cricket team in a school. That's a very good point. Yeah, Pauline.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that is where exactly what Sudatta was talking about and you're talking about, that is where the visibility comes into picture. If you cannot see something, you cannot become something.
Correct.
So because while people were growing up, they don't have superheroes in front of them like Sachin Tendulkar, like Virat Kohli. If a kid when he is born, he can see that, okay, this is Virat Kohli, this is Sachin Tendulkar, I want to be like that. From there, your interest comes up. From their mothers or fathers, they also have that dream, okay, my kid can grow up and become another Sachin Tendulkar. But for years, like I mean till 4-5 years ago, as I was saying, that the matches were not even telecasted on the TV. So when we grew up, we didn't have any role models to follow. Like I can say my personal experience, I did not have a problem like my parents will not allow, or I did not have a problem like what the society will say. Thankfully, I grew up in a modern and open-minded society. And I used to play a lot. Like in my childhood, I used to play with my brothers. I used to go out and play on the streets, and I was pretty good at that. So my uncles even talked about it, that okay, I should go to cricket, like I should pursue it as a career. Like nobody stopped me ever. But what I felt is I did not have any role models that time. I just knew two names, Mithali Raj and Jhulan Goswami, but I did not see a career in front of me. So I did not pursue that. I went into, okay, if I study, I might get a job, I might be independent, but if I follow cricket, I won't have and coming from a middle class family, you have to think about your career, you have to think about earning money. You cannot just go after your passion. I mean, that sounds nice in movies, but that is not practical. So there are people like me, at least from my generation, who did not even think about becoming a cricketer, even after maybe having good talents, like having proper talent. So if when I was growing up, if I could see Harmanpreet Kaur, if I could see Smriti Mandhana playing like this, if I could see what superstars they are, maybe I would have pursued that. So that is another point. I think that is what that is purpose of my starting 171 Not Out as well, to reach people, to let them know, okay, women's cricket happens, women's cricket is happening. These are the players and they are superstars, just like Virat Kohli's and Rohit Sharma's. And if they can see them in front of them, if they can follow them, they will want their kids to pursue that. So
yeah.
No,
I
once
think
again, Paulami, what do you think?
Yeah.
Is a very good point. I mean, are you based out of Calcutta?
I sorry?
Are you based out of Calcutta now?
Yeah. I'm based out of
Okay.
Kolkata.
So last year, I mean, maybe January 2020 or something like that. Yeah, maybe around that time, I spent 2 days in Jadavpur University. Like Sudatta said, all the girls who came to play, they were all playing basketball. Maximum, some of them, 2 or 3 were playing with boys for volleyball. Okay. Now, some of the boys were going for cricket. And these girls, I mean, just for fun. I mean, like today we are all saying that Shefali Verma, when she makes a flick or on drive, she resembles somebody. Even put footage. They put side by side how she exactly influenced by Virat Kohli. Everything. When she does that, when she leans into the shot, she exactly Virat Kohli, kind of a female Virat Kohli. But those girls have extraordinary talent. I feel that there is no, like Sudatta, there is no playing ground also, the possibility that, I know, but in Bangalore they have, I definitely Bangalore they had. In Bombay, for some reason, there was nobody to come. Actually, they had an academy there. For some reason, no, not many girls opted to play cricket there. But Calcutta is a very fertile ground. Actually, you people should do so. You can do something, and amount of talent. Some of them are playing like probably the guy was bowling at 135, 140. These girls are flicking them, and then so beautifully they were playing. But there was nobody to guide them. You see that? What do you mean? One is a like Subrata said, cultural issue, social stigma, etc., etc. And what you were saying, visibility is not there, and people aren't seeing. Therefore, they don't want to. Maybe Shafali Verma was exposed to Virat Kohli, so she started aping him, imitating him, and she's playing like that. But also, there is nobody to guide. How much is that?
Yeah, I also feel one thing which is very important here, I think, just expanding on what Sudatta said, is that, see, the public spaces that are available for young boys to play cricket is much more. Like you go any park around in the city, there'll be 4 teams playing. So it's very difficult for a women's team to get there and, stake their place in that ground. Like if you go to Chennai or any other such city, right, there'll be 6 teams, playing matches all over the place. So that, I think, is one more thing where you can't. And secondly, if you see in a road, right, you see the people playing what we call the gully cricket, right? But you'll only see 2 women means they are only playing shuttle, because somehow they don't, as Sudatta is saying, that some stigma that you should not be playing cricket there. And I think I understand what Paulami is saying. And it seems, again, a very common sense that BCCI handles should start, right? Like how some of the badminton handles are doing, not BWF and others do, right? A match is happening today. They have the photo of the person, probably what they played last game, how they were, just a small 2-second clip, 20-second clip of what they did last time. And it's so interesting. And suddenly you start realizing there are so many good players in badminton. I follow such handles, and I come to know about a lot of people, singles, doubles players, and they're brilliantly done. They don't like post some 20 tweets, as you said, right? 1 tweet a day when the match is happening with a good information about this, with a clip of old thing that they played, and you'll get the superstar. So this leads me to the next question. Currently, who are the most talented people in Indian women's cricket? Who are the people should watch out for now and watch out for in the future? Whom do you think will be the future generation of women's cricketer in India?
Yeah. So right now, I think Mithali Raj and Jhulan Goswami have been legends for 20 years now. So they are obviously there. Other than that, I think currently our T20 captain Harmanpreet Kaur, she is like one of the best in the world. And Smriti Mandhana, she has been like in tremendous form since 2018, and she is just smashing everything. And she just had a test century this year in pink ball test in Australia, and then she had a century in the Big Bash League. So she has been a wonderful person in our team. And then other than that, our team is pretty young, I must say. Like if you take out Mithali Raj, Jhulan Goswami and Harmanpreet Kaur, the average age will come down to 22, 23. So
Wow.
it's entirely a new team. Young team, I can say. And then for the talented players who will play for a lot of time, Shafali Verma is obviously like she is the youngest T20 #1 batter. And then she has been like in tremendous form again since the last 2 years. She has just debuted 2 years back, but she has taken the world by a storm, I'll say. So Shafali Verma is there. Jemima Rodrigues is another very talented batter. And then Richa Ghosh is another upcoming talent. Like she's also 17 years old, and she's also like big hitter that we have in down the order. So they are there. Then Yastika Bhatia is very good. She just debuted. And if I go to the bowlers, then right now we have found some fantastic talents like Meghna Singh, who had like really troubled all the Aussie batters in the Australia tour. And then we have a pretty strong spin contingent like we always had. We have Rajeshwari Gaikwad, Poonam Yadav, Radha Yadav. So all of them are there. So yeah, so I can say right now the superstars of the team will be Smriti Mandhana, Shafali Verma, Harmanpreet Kaur, they are the superstars apart from Mithali Raj and Jhulan Goswami. But the upcoming batters, I mean, like the upcoming, if you can say like another 5-6 years, there are a lot of people that are just waiting for the opportunity. In domestics also, there are many interesting names like Indrani Roy, Muskan Malik, this year Kanika Ahuja. So all like these are just some few names I'm taking. There are a lot of people waiting to just take their places just for a chance. So yeah, we
Okay.
have an interesting future ahead.
Yeah, before I ask Sudhata, one quick question.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of that person who bowled that absolutely brilliant delivery. That was
Shikha
Shikha
Pandey.
Pandey.
Yeah,
yeah,
Shikha
okay.
Pandey, yes.
I thought, okay. Yeah, Sudhata, your take on this?
Yeah, and I think India. So there was this question which was asked many years back to. I don't remember who asked to whom, but I guess some Indian cricketer to a Pakistani cricketer, that why does India have very good batters like Sachin Tendulkar and Virendra Sehwag, and why does Pakistan have very good bowlers like Wasim Akram and Wakari is coming up? So probably the reason is because India has always had good batters as their as heroes. Like for for Sachin Tendulkar, probably there was Sunil Gavaskar. For the later generation, there was Sachin Tendulkar and so on. And it must be said that youngsters like Shefali Verma and Smriti Mandhana, they grew up idealizing people like Virendra Sehwag and Sachin Tendulkar and Rahul Dravid. They didn't grow up idolizing people like your Mithali Raj or your Anjum Chopra and all of them. And that's where the visibility question comes in also. So as a result, India has good batters right now in the women's team. You like Paulami said, you have Smriti Mandhana, Jemima Rodriguez, Shefali Verma, Harmanpreet Kaur, I mean, there is Yastika Bhatt and many of them. And unfortunately, if I have to be very, very honest, we do not have anybody after Jhulan Goswami. Even if we have, they are not like Jhulan Goswami. And it will be very unjust to expect somebody to take the place of Jhulan Goswami, because it's once in a lifetime you get a player like Jhulan Goswami, and it is a case for each and every team. But yes, there are a couple of bowlers which probably will take some time. If the current coach Ramesh Pawar has said vocally that he wants to concentrate on creating that line of bowlers, and he himself being a bowler understand the value of having good bowlers in your squad. One person that I really look forward to watching plays a crucial role in the team. Probably she is probably not in the best form, like best of the best right now, but it's somebody who can bat and bowl also, is Pooja Vastarkar. She actually got into the team idolizing a batter again. But her coach said that you should concentrate on bowling also. And now if we see her, and she has gone through a lot of injury issues in the past few years. So Pooja Vastarkar is someone who, if taken care of, can become a very good player. And
all-rounder.
Yeah, all-rounder. And from England series to Australia series itself, she had improved a lot. So she's someone that people can actually expect to be one of the top players tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I just wanted to ask, there was one girl, I think her name, I saw in England, Sneha Verma.
Sneha
Rana. She had good
Sneha Rana, sorry.
Sneha Rana, and she had good things like, for example, somebody, that's where guidance comes. So probably she bowled 4 balls, good balls, and 2 lousy ones. Like she was a woman, Stuart McGill. That fellow will bowl 4 unplayable deliveries and 2 full tosses. Boycott said this fellow should be banned from cricket, even the county cricket, not only the village cricket also. Is like that. I mean, what about her? Somebody like her, can she be groomed? Is she old or young?
She's around 27, 28, if I'm not mistaken. She has already been playing in the domestic circuit for many years. Is that she has been out of the team for almost 4 years before playing in England again. Again, the issue with her was injury. And look, it's for India has a lot of good players. It's not that we do not have good players, whether it's Sneha Rana or Deepti Sharma also. I keep mentioning Deepti Sharma in every place, because whether it was the 100 in England or WBBL, she can come across as someone who is very difficult to be tackled by the foreign players. So India has a lot of such players like Sneha Rana and Deepti Sharma, Pooja Vastukan and others. The important thing is to make sure that they stay injury free, just like men's cricketers. The structure and infrastructure is there for them to become a very good and take themselves up ahead. So these are the things. So it's not that they can't, it's just they need the right support.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask one final thing that,
Correct.
okay,
Yeah,
we
go
were
ahead.
all focusing on BCCI. Okay. And what about somebody like, parent body like ICC? It's not merely saying that only if you have a, maybe they can also, they have a very weird clause that there should be no governmental interference, etc., etc. It cannot be. I mean, in all countries, it always happens. I mean, okay, on paper, they all may say that this is private and all that stuff. Who is sitting in BCCI? It's always related to the governments and all this thing. I mean, I don't know, that cannot be avoided. But what about somebody like ICC? Maybe they can encourage private academies. Like, for example, we have so many academies in Chennai for boys. There was only one for girls, which was in Guru Nanak or someplace. And obviously, parents will not send their children, their daughters for such a long distance, obviously. So in Bombay, we had one, and Bangalore, we had one. But other than that, private academies, I mean, okay, BCCI, let them do whatever they want. ICCI can also, in all countries, can't they promote academies, women academies?
ICC has their own cricket academy. Actually, there is ICC academy. I am not really sure about whether they can always do a lot of things, but why they aren't doing is something that needs to be asked to them. It has been asked. But yes, I mean, the thing is that ICC can't really go and interfere in another country's business also. I mean, ICC cannot come and suddenly interfere in BCCI business today. I don't know how much people know about this, but whatever BCCI makes money out of IPL, they do not share it with ICC. It's BCCI's own like IP or own league. So ICC at the end of the day is just like it's a nodal office kind of thing, which will come and say that, hello, you have to do this, but it is ultimately upon the Cricket Association of different countries to create that environment.
It's like almost like the UN, right?
Yeah.
You say it's an pandemic, and then the countries have to take care of it.
Yeah, so ICC is trying to promote the game by the virtue of using T20 tournaments or T20 as a vehicle to promote games in what we call as associate nations, like I mentioned Brazil, Thailand, and other Germany and other countries also. France you have right now. So you would be amazed that there actually most countries in the world play cricket. They have a national cricket team. Russia has one.
Wow.
But yeah, they have one. I mean, it's ultimately again the kind of investment that is put into those teams, and it is their respective cricket association who can bring in a change. So at this point, if tomorrow ICC comes out and says that, hey, look, you need to have 5 women's cricket academies to be to be recognized as a test playing nation, then probably the BCCI or the Cricket Australia or England and Wales Cricket Board will do tomorrow. But then again, does ICC really want to get into like war with BCCI or your ECB or CA? I don't think so, because at the end of the day, ICC depends on these top 3 boards. So we have to understand that people from India or people from England who are in good books with India go to represent ICC chairmanship and all the other posts. If you see ICC's organization today, there are a lot of Indians who are working over there. ICC is not like some different organization where people from different countries come. So it's just the same set of people who are going from here there. So it's again, it's a huge. I know it sounds very tough, but it's not undoable. That they have to keep their preferences aside and decide what really they need to do to change. And by the way, governments do interfere into the policies of each and every cricket association. ICC says that they shouldn't, they can't, but they do, because if you see that in India, we had this whole investigation into the match fixing and IPL betting case. Currently in England, you have the House of the MPs discussing about the racism in the county cricket. In Australia also, if anything, for a drop of a pen, somebody in the government will make sure that things do change. So governments do interfere, but there is always a certain, they can only interfere to still a certain degree. They can't force a change. So that's also there.
Okay. Yeah, Polami, your call on what ICC should be doing?
Yeah, I think Sudatta has covered almost everything. I really do not have much to add. And as she said that ICC cannot, like, they can, create, I mean, I feel that highest they can do is, have some mandatory tournaments or league where everybody has to come and have to perform, everybody has to send a team and things like that, arranging World Cups or some kind of tournaments. But other than that, what is happening inside that country, how they're creating that women's team, I mean, how they're, nurturing them, or I don't think ICC has a say in that, has much say in that. That's what
I'll
feel.
just like to give an example. I mean, it's a recent example is that of the Afghanistan situation right now. And Taliban has banned the women's team of Afghanistan, and one of the major reasons why Afghanistan got that test recognition is because, one, so you have to have your women's team. Two, it's out of your, good faith and everything, they got it. But now that their women's team has been banned, they are still recognized as a test playing nation, and they will probably go on to play against Australia in Australia come next year in February, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But still, the ICC, which is supposed to take a call on how the Afghanistan cricket board treats its women's team, has not been able to do anything about it. And that says a lot about how much power ICC has. Now, why ICC is not taking a decision is something that ICC probably has to answer. But who will ask the question to ICC? I mean, cricket boards, Cricket Australia had decided their own. They came out that they are not going to play against Afghanistan because of the Taliban ban. But then Cricket Australia is playing right now. So somebody has to go and force ICC to take those calls again. But it's the top 3 cricket association like BCCI, ECB, and CA.
Okay, fine. So I think Rajmohan, I think we have kept them awake for a long time. So let me conclude this. But before that, let me also just say that as Sudatta and Polami are saying, that India's batters were the earlier people who inspired others, because there are a lot of batsmen who were getting that right.
But one important thing.
What I wanted to say now is that in the current context, there are a lot of bowlers who are coming up in the Indian men's team, and that they are responsible for winning matches abroad. So hopefully, going down the line, you'll have enough of them, at least even some imitating Bumrah's action probably.
But what we have not covered here, like something like how Australia lousily they treated the Tim Paine situation. But maybe these women cricketers in India are also must be facing a lot of harassment and other things. Well, that we are not covered. Maybe we'll have one more episode. Whatever we left out, we can cover in all that. Yeah. Sorry, please go ahead.
Yeah,
Please.
no, that's fine. Okay, so let me wrap up by just summarizing what we discussed. So discussing about women's cricket in India, which is the topic. The first thing that I think everybody, both of them agree, and I think many people in India would agree that the women's cricket is now much better known than what it was earlier. But is it as well known as it should be is the question, and the answer is it's probably not as well known, and that for that there has to be a lot of effort to be put in by the cricket board in trying to promote the game within India, and ICC to try to promote the game outside of India and across all countries. The second thing which we learned today, which was surprising to me, was that you don't really have a domestic tournament which runs for 3 days, and from where we pick the best team. Rather, it's all one-day tournaments, and some of the tournaments for under 19, under 23 don't even happen for a couple of years type of thing. So to some extent, I still can't process this information as to how they pick up the team. So
No, they pick up. They say you pick any card. Okay, today Sudhata, tomorrow Paul May, day after tomorrow somebody like that. I mean, what hours?
So the one thing is that Indian women's team has been doing quite well, and they have reached the finals of T20 World Cup, the 50-over World Cup, and the recent series in Australia was really well watched by a lot of people. And so there is no lack of competitiveness in the game. There is no lack of good players within the country. As both of them said, the need is to first give out information about simple things like when is the match happening, who are the players, what's the team, and also try promoting some of them, some of the top players, so that people get to know. For example, even today, except for many people would not have seen the photograph of Jhulan Goswami. Mithali Raj probably more, because now she's also got the Arjuna Award. But otherwise, many of the others, common people may not even have seen their photographs. So the way the promotion has been done is been non-existent. And if the promotion comes, with that, the players will get some endorsements, and with the endorsement, money will start flowing. I think these are sort of, sometimes you feel that there are some sort of common sense things are not being done for whatever reasons. So hopefully, the BCCI will start looking into this more seriously and go forward. But in spite of all the social stigma, in spite of all the challenges that are associated with it, we still have a huge number of people coming into the cricket teams, and there is a lot of talent currently. And both of them are quite confident that the newer players would be quite good. I think on the bowling side, of course, there is probably nobody yet to reach Jhulan Goswami level, but I guess she'll become a role model for people later to follow. So this is sort of the summary of what we had discussed today. So let me formally thank both Sudhata and Poulomi again for their great insights, and I personally learned a lot about women's cricket. I've just been on the fringes, I would say, till now. Though the last 2-3 years, honestly, I started following it much more than what it was. And one of the reasons which Poulomi and Sudhata pointed out was that you see this televised nowadays often, and that really adds to the popularity of the game. So let me formally thank them. And Rajmohan, you have anything?
Yeah. I just, maybe like a lot of, so when you're talking, we missed out on discussing maybe 1.5 hours. We can't discuss everything. One is the harassment part of it. Second is when you're talking about rural, like rural India, we just touched, there is no infrastructure there. But also there are other challenges in rural India is multiple times bigger, huge than the cities. Okay, city like Sudhata wants to go and play, she's asking somebody. In rural India, you can't ask anyone. there is nobody to even ask. See, that's a big thing, and many things we have missed out. Maybe we'll have one more episode of this.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, so
Anytime.
we can cover all this. Also, thank you, Sudatta. Thank you, Polmi, for
Thank you.
coming.
I just want to add one thing, that if anybody is, I took out this book out so that people get to know. If anybody is interested in women's cricket, there's this book called The Fire Burns Blue.
Oh,
It's a
yeah,
history
yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
women's cricket in India. It's by the late Siddhanta Patnaik and Karunya Keshav. It's a very nice book. It's actually one of the
Oh.
best women's books on women's cricket in the world. So anybody who wants to know about it can go and read it. It's well documented. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
maybe
you very
we'll put
much.
that. We'll put a link to the book as well as Polmi's 171 also in the description,
Yeah.
so that people can
Yeah,
see
yeah,
it
sure,
and go
sure,
there.
sure,
Yeah.
sure, sure.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Sudatta.
And yeah,
No
and
worries.
just a question. I'm sure you both are okay with us putting up your Twitter handles there so that those interested can follow you.
Sure, I'm fine.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you
thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
do that. We'll do that in the captions and as well as in the description.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank
Bye bye.
Thank you
Bye bye.
for having us. Bye.